Let's see the quick demo of microservice in .NET Aspire. So there is a two microservice, which is one is the API service, another is the product service, and which is integrated in our web application. So that we have built in here, and if you see, this is a web application where I integrate the two service. One is that product API, and another one is that weather API, or another one is the agent API. Right, so this is that microservice which we utilize in this web application. And if you just moving and call any API service over here, so if you go back to here and if you see that trace, so you are able to see now they are using as a gateway, as a APIs, all our microservices using the gateway and call that respective API. So same, if I see over here, see now there's another gateway calling for this another request, but they are calling our another API, right? So that we have to build in this application. And yeah, also if there is a two API over there, the two microservice we can say, one is that agent API service and another one is that product API service. So we will make a microservice with those API and we will utilize in our web application using in .NET Aspire. That is very easy. So let's moving to start to implementation. So before start implementation, I'm especially recommend, so if you first time visit my channel, which is .NET real world example, and here I'm especially recommend this session, which is I just integrate in my last session in .NET Aspire, where I just integrate Microsoft Agent using Agent framework, Microsoft Agent framework. So same application or same repo actually I refer over here, but if you want you can just create a new one also. There's up to you. And if you want to that repository, so you can take that repository from my GitHub link over here. So AI Agent Aspire Microsoft Agent framework, and this is my GitHub link. So yeah, let's moving to start implementation. So I'll take that I already clone it, this one, so I can open it over here. So let me open that. So once you open, you are able to see this is that common structure, solution structure of the .NET Aspire, which have that host project, which have that a web application or API. So there is a one API over here, but yeah, don't worry, we'll create another API and another response from microservice that we have to integrate over here using that gateway, or using that reverse proxy. So let me run this application first so that we can see what we have in this existing application, and then we'll start implementation. So yeah, my application got started. Now there is a .NET Aspire dashboard got opened, and which have that whatever service and whatever application you in your in this project, so all this will have in this dashboard. And also there is a nice graph also, like what are the dependencies and all, right? So yeah, so I think this, see there's a one is that Olama large language model we have integrated, also cache management, and this is that one API service over here, and that is also we have one as that web application, nothing special. And if I just open this web application, and last time actually we have just built this AI agent. So whatever that, if you want to create any story using this agent, so you can just ask over here, that is coming from that web API, like this API service. So that we have, but yeah, that is actually directly call this API service, right? So for example, if I ask, okay, let me ask something. So let me create a one story using this agent like this, on hit enter. Now I'm getting that response, see, proper response from that API, which is agent API we have built in last time, and this is that final response over here. So there is a two agent actually in here. One is that create the story, another one edit the story. So there is a edit the story, right? So also if you see in the trace, so in this trace mode you can able to see that API. Where is that API? Yeah, so this is that API, and in here that is called API service, and this API service call internally over there. So if you look at that URL, it is directly just saying that agent agent chat, right? And this is coming from that API service. So that we have to build actually using that reverse proxy in this .NET Aspire, so that whatever that our multiple API or multiple microservice, they can going to the gateway. That gateway decided, okay, which API you want to call it, right? So if you want to call like product API, so the gateway actually select that microservice and that call that microservice. So that we have to implement in this in .NET Aspire. So let me close everything. Okay, close that. And for that actually the .NET Aspire actually provide that one of that nice package, and search for this one, Aspire YARP, right? So this is that package name, and just choose this, install that, apply that, accept that. So once you install, now see there is a one of the no, also they are providing some documentation like this YRP library, and there's a most of the sample things also is provided, and also here the documentation. So if you want, you can just go through YRP documentation and you can get that idea actually how it's work. But don't worry, I'll explain everything over here. So yeah, once you install this package, now go to your app host project. In this app host.cs file, go to that, and in here so this is my API service, right? So currently directly see, as of now we are directly call in our web application directly here. So instead of this, actually we have to create a one gateway using the reverse proxy, and that gateway actually decided which API and call and all, right? So yeah, so let's get to implement that. So for that actually what I can do, I have required this. After this actually see, I will use after this. Okay, so using builder dot, there's a extension method of that package, add YRP, right? So this is that extension method they're providing, and in this extension method we have to pass that one the name. Okay, so what would be the name? Like I can use is a gateway API or gateway client, whatever things actually you can just use it. But yeah, as of now I'll use this. So let me this, and also don't need to this because I don't want to like that. And then there's another extension method over here like with configuration. So that configuration we have to do over here directly without create any JSON file and all, right? So we have to use that configuration, and in this configuration we use that lambda expression. So we use this YRP, and in this case, yeah, so in this case we have to set some configuration like this way. Okay, so simply use that dot arp dot add route. So see they're providing a sample. So this is how actually we have to use it, like using that add route. Okay, and this add route, like whatever your whatever your path, right, the route path that you want to decide over here, right? So for example, as of now I have that API service, right? So I can set this as a API service, and or we can say that this is a agent service, right? So we can call it that agent, right? So we use this as a agent, and then slash API. Cool. And then we have to set some route path, like some path actually, so that they can get, okay, what kind of things actually you have to get. So I want to get all that, right? So I want to catch all that request. So if you want to specify, okay, you have to specify get, post, delete and all, so that you can this. But yeah, I think it is already here. Okay, yeah, I think this is already providing here. So yeah, for example, like simply I can change to this and remove this. Okay, yeah, so this is the way actually you can just define, okay, what is that your service look like, route path. So this is the route path or the API or you can say client can call this way, like agent API, and whatever that request, another things like like for example agent API or chat API and all, so that everything will be cached over here. And now last things over here, the second parameter, actually see what is the second parameter. The second parameter is like that is asking, there's a couple of here. So one is the path, a second one is that cluster, right? So for cluster actually you can use your whatever service, API service, microservice, so use that API service directly over here. So I'll show you one issue actually in this case, so that I'll show fix also. So yeah, as of now keep it this, okay. And yeah, same things if you want to multiple service, like for example currently we have that one, right? So I am using this one. So if you want to use multiple, so similar kind of things you can just copy paste, just copy paste another one and changes your another API, right? So that we have to want to create it over here. So let me just create another API also. Right click on that, add new project, and just call .NET Web API. Next. Oh, I forget to change the name, so for example I can just make it to product API. And next. And yeah, if you want you can keep it to HTTPS, but I don't want to HTTPS, so leave that. And yeah, enable support and all, that is perfectly fine. Create that. Okay, now your product API also got created over here, and by default it is just giving this endpoint, right? So don't worry, I'll change it that, because so that we can differentiate. Okay, now our product API called, or which API is called, right? So for that, for product API I can just simply change to this because I already created. So yeah, whatever that product I just want to create it, I just create it as a sample product, and then simply I can change to that my endpoint as well. So let me change my endpoint as a product. Yeah, so this is a product, and also model I can change it the model as well. So let me change this. Cool. So now my products got ready, right, to use. So let me go back, and before go back actually what I want to do, I want to orchestrate this project in my app host project, right? So there is a way ideally you can directly use that add project and then use it, but yeah, there is an option. So if you right click on that, add that, and if you see there's an option to .NET Aspire orchestration support, right? So once you click that, so it is saying it is already exists. So once you click add that, so automatically will add this project in your app host project. So you can see it should be somewhere is created. Now see, this one got created. So copy that and make it below the gateway, so that I can take as a reference. So using where a product API, like product API. Okay, cool. Now same things we can just change to this, right? And whatever route you want to show over here, like for example previously I show that for this is agent one, right? So this is agent one, and this is should be as a product one. So product API, right? Similar. So that's all. I think that the way actually you can just create your multiple microservices, right, or API, and you can just use as a microservices, right? And in here simply just close everything over here, and that's it. So these are that setting you have to do, like using the YARP, and they will actually manage your gateway, and respective API, they will redirect to that respective API. And yeah, also we will store this as a, for example, is a gateway, right? Because as a reference we have to use this reference uh, in our web application, or anywhere you want to refer. So in previously see we just referred to APIs, right, API service. So I don't want to use this one. So let me just comment it, so that you can just take as a reference. So let me comment it this, and whatever gateway I just replace to that API service, and that's it. Okay, and rest of things I'll just keep it same. I don't want to change anything, so only just whatever just directly reference of web API service in previously I just change the gateway, so that this application only reference as a gateway. So whatever a microservice is called in this application, so it will go to first this gateway, and they will redirect to that particular API service, and they'll get that response that particular way, right? So this is the whole process, and yeah, so once you're done, now we are good to go to use our web application. So but in web application we need to want changes. So if you go to that program.cs file, previously whatever that client, right? So previously I'm using this two, I just create this two client, but if you observe, I'm using that API service, right? Because previously we just referred this API service, right, which we have orchestrated in our app host project. So for that now it won't work, because this is not exit, because we have just removed that, we have just removed this reference, right? So now we have that new gateway. So for new gateway, actually you just copy the same name, whatever name you just refer, just change it to this, change it to this. Okay, so yeah, I think this is pretty much good for this no, that web application changes. Only just change to gateway instead of API service, and rest of things will work same. But one more thing, actually, see, if you go to that particular client, so for example this client, okay, so agent API client which I just created last time, so that's why I recommend go to my channel and check that last session. And in here, see, I'll just refer, okay, this is that API service name, right? But now once I change it, so once I change that client to this gateway, and in this gateway definitely it will call to that agent chat, right? But in our API service or our host project, see, our now all that microservice route by like this way, right? Like if I call to agent API and that particular API name, so it will go to this one, right, this API service. And if I call to product API and then whatever that API name, so it will call to this one, right? So that's we have to make the changes accordingly. So simply I can just copy this, go back, and before that actually just made these changes, like so that they can get that complete URL as a gateway URL, right? So this is that complete gateway URL, so that it will redirect to our agent service. Similar, if I want to call product one, that I'll just create a little bit later, but as of now just let me check it this one. Okay, but there is a one issue actually, that's why I have not changed anything over here, so that I want to show you. So now save it, now everything is looks good. Now run this application. Now you can observe over here, now see, whatever this gateway YARP I just implement, now see, they are just ready over here using this gateway. So this gateway actually they will just redirect to our microservices, like whatever the microservice. So my gateway is get running over here, and this is our microservices. And once I click this one and click on that, this is the agent API, and once you hit ask that any prompt over here, so it will call that product or that agent API. So hit enter. So want to hit enter, let me check to see, there is a one issue, not found, right? So that not found, okay, so if it's not found, so let me check what is the issue. So go to the trace. If you go to the trace, now see, gateway, actually there is a one issue on the gateway. So what is the issue? Go that and see, gateway is calling, there is a no issue. But problem is, so if you observe over here, this is that URL actually which is made, right? So like whatever hosted in your here, and the agent, and then agent API, right? This is perfectly actually made that URL, but problem is like our service, whatever that our exact service. So if you go to over here, go to that particular dashboard, so where is our API service? So this is my API service, and in this API service, if you check, my API name is simple, like if you just open, okay, let me open that directly over here. So see, my API name, go to that API name, where is API, here's that, right, program.cs file, and this is my agent API, and that API name like is just simple agent chat, right, and that whatever that prompt. So actually I create that endpoint, which is correct, but we have to remove before calling this API, right? So where how I can do that? So go to that app.host project, and over here in this this YARP configuration, right, there is a mechanism actually. See, so as the user they can able to see, okay, agent API or product API and all, but internally we don't have that product API or agent API and all, right? So internally we have just simply as a agent chat API, or we can say like products get products API, right? So for redirection over here we have that actually we can remove this prefix, right? So we have that multiple option in this YARP, like there we can add that prefix or we can remove that prefix. So this is that actually the prefix, right? So that prefix before calling our actual endpoint or actual API, so we have to remove that prefix. So let me quickly remove that. So for example over here dot with, we have that with the transform, yeah, this is the last one, okay, with transform path remove prefix, okay, and in this prefix we have to define what we have to remove that, okay. So we have to remove this, okay. So let me just remove this. So this is the way actually you can just remove your prefix, because internally your API service does not have this prefix which we have add additionally, right? So that as a user or any client side, they can easily understand, okay, which API they want to call, right? So similar I can just use same things for here as well. Remove that prefix for product API, and just that's it, okay. I think this is fine. Now stop that, save it, run this application one more time. Okay, so I think we have, okay, so see, this is the error actually prefix, actually they are asking, okay, first we have to define this backslash, okay. So let me stop that and just add this and this, okay. I think same thing we can add it over here as well. This is not mandatory, but yeah, we can use that, okay. Now application got running over here, and if I click this, click on that agent API, and same things I can just call it again, like if I want to write any story. So let me write the story of this agent API, send it, and once you send it, now this time I hopefully should get that response. Yeah, now see, I'm getting that response perfectly, and that I can check it over here. Go to the trace, and if you go to the trace, you can check where is that call happen, and you can just simply check this API service, right? So click that API service. Now see, they are calling web front end call, they call that get API call that API service, and API service call to Olama, like large language model. So click on that get API. So once you get API, now see, this time I just made this call like agent API, but internally see that API call, they are just remove this prefix and they call simply agent chat, and then once the agent chat, they get that response from our large language model, right? So this is how actually it is working, and if you see, this is the nice response also. This agent actually nicely create that story for us, and yeah, I think yeah, that is fine now. But yeah, one thing actually I want to tell you, like see, as of now I am not using any HTTPS in my application, right? So everything is a HTTP only, right? So that's why it is fine. Like if you use directly using this, that is fine. But if you think your no HTTPS is not working, because sometimes it's not working HTTPS, so in this case what you can do, simply you can use this get endpoint and just define here that HTTP, because if you're trying to use in a local, so definitely sometime your HTTP certificate is not available, HTTPS certificate, so that can create an issue. So you can just simply change this setting to this. Okay, so that whatever endpoint, like in your API, like microservice, if have the two things like HTTPS and HTTP, so you can just call only this HTTP for the local purpose prospect. But if you trying to for deploy in the production, so definitely all the certificate will be available and all, so there should not be any issue. But this is just workaround for local, so this is fine. And one more thing actually I would like to show you, like for example I'm just calling this one API, right, one microservice. So I'll just calling that another microservice for that, which I just already created over here. So go to that here, HTTP here, and where that API. Okay, so this is that another API, so which is fine. Also we just referred over here, everything is fine for that app host project. But yeah, for client side I have to utilize this API, right? So how we can use that? Simply go to that web application, and in this web application, as like we have that client, right? So for example weather forecast client, right? So for that actually I'll just create another client which will call our this API, like product API, and get the data, right? So let me just create another client, right click on that, quickly class, and in here, so let me create this product API client. Okay, and in this product API client I can just simply add some implementations over here, like this way. See, just inject HTTP client, don't worry, I'll register this HTTP client in this our new client. And here that name, I think I can change the name, for example rename it to get product async. Okay, cool. Now, and in here simply I just call that HTTP client, get all that data from, and this is that API, right? So currently product API call this products, right? So this is that prefix, and this is actual endpoint name, right? So yeah, I think make sure we have to just make sure this is correct or not, because I can use this one as a demo. So go to that API host, and yeah, this is that same product API and product API, and our endpoint name is product. Yeah, that's cool actually, then we don't need to change it. And simply I just create a product model which will just bind the data. That's it. Now our client is ready, and this client also we have to register in our program.cs file, right? So similar which we have done over here. So just copy this and paste it and change it to this name to product. So product, that's it. So now your client got registered, and this client I can use any of the component or any of where in our application, right, as like similar. So same things, I can just go to that component, and in this component, where is my component section? Now see, there is a component section, so I already have that component. So let me just copy that, because it is just similar to weather forecast component, so nothing is special. So let me just paste it over here. Okay, now just this is that new component I just created, product.json page, and which is nothing special, just call that endpoint. See, that client which is we just created, product API client, and this product API client call that method like get product method, and they will just bind the data in this product model, and this product model just iterate to this here, right? So yeah, I think I just copy this the weather forecast component, so that's why we have that old name and all, so that actually leave it as of now. But yeah, just for understanding perspective, simply you can call your client, right, whatever API client, new API client, product API client, and get and bind it over here. And same things actually I can just go to the nav menu, right? In this nav menu I can just uncomment, or just I can use this weather forecast over here because I want to show you that same call over here also. Copy that, paste it, and here also I want to change that product. I think it's product, right? So let me check that. Yeah, it's product only. So this is a product component name and I can use product. That's it. Okay, so yeah, and one more thing actually I want to check that whether API client actually, yeah, so see there's a by default we have that that endpoint name, but we have to add that prefix also over here. That's why they will able to get that API, they will route that API, right? So what is our prefix for that? So go to here and this is your prefix of that weather forecast client. So just copy and paste it. That's it. Okay, so now we are good to run this application and see in action. Okay, now gateway is running and yeah, so application also got running. So if I just click that, and first let me check that weather one. So once you see, once you click that weather, I'm getting that weather, and that I can check in this trace as well. So see, now call this weather get weather, and internally they are calling this API gateway API. So this is that gateway API, and in this gateway API call this API service and get that response properly over here. So same way I think I can check for product. So click on that product. Now see product data also get loaded, and if you go back again the trace, so you are able to see. So now it's calling the gateway and then product API, right? So yeah, like this way actually you can just create your microservice in .NET Aspire project and easily easily and maintain your microservice over here. That's simple using YARP package, right, which can reverse proxy package. So yeah, I think that's cool. And yeah, one more thing actually I want to add over here. So yeah, I think you can, if you want to call directly over here, right, so you can just call it over here like using the gateway. So click on that gateway, and in here whatever that error endpoint like you are trying to make it, right, so that you can just call it over here. Like for example, if I go to that console and check that endpoint, okay, so see this is that endpoint, right? So copy this along with the prefix and just pass it to over here in the gateway. This gateway actually redirect to your API. So see, now this is that main gateway, right? And then whatever in microservices you can just refer over here, they will redirect and get the data. Same thing you can just call for weather forecast. So where is my weather forecast? Yeah, so this is that weather forecast. So copy this, go here and just change it to this. Now see, you are getting the data, right? That API are actually using the gateway. Yeah, I think that is pretty much good for this session. But yeah, before close this session, what I'll do, I'll just push these changes to that particular repository so that you can just learn, or you can just use for learning perspective, right? So yeah, let me just get, and yeah, see there's a couple of changes we have done, right? So you can just utilize. So yeah, using, okay, now I just push the changes so you can take it. And yeah, that's all for this session. Thank you, have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.